My name is Kim Van, and I am the Program Director of Family Guidance and Outreach. What that means is I go into the schools and we teach kids who have been given to us through some sort of staff member on the school. When we get there, we work with kids in group settings. We don't do one-on-one counseling or therapy. It is a group setting of many children that the school has put into a group for us. So we don't know their background, we don't know why they're in there. We have an idea, but as far as that goes, they come to us like strangers. We educate on the prevention of child abuse, and mainly it's to inform the public that it is a thing and that it does happen. I think if it doesn't happen in your household, then you assume that everybody grew up the same way you did. And that goes both ways. Either you were abused and neglected and you just think that's how life is for everybody, or you did have a home that you felt safe in and you were taken care of and you assume that's how life is for everybody. We also do parenting classes in the evening. So all of our things are free. So Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, we educate from pre-K all the way up into adults. If we don't offer those services, we have a list of people that we can refer you to. So sometimes we get phone calls and we don't help with rent and we can't help with groceries, but we have somebody that we can get you in contact with. So I think if we realize that it takes a lot of us, it takes all of us to help in those ways, and there might be agencies that don't educate on the prevention of child abuse, but they do have great things to offer. But I do not leave a program without someone coming up and telling us a story or asking questions. I was doing a Preventing Shaken Baby syndrome program to a group of second graders. There was one little girl that I was just noticing was very involved, listening, and she came up to me at the end of it. Now mind you, she's second grade. And she told me that she remembers that happening to her brother. And so you sit there, and even though you hear these things, it doesn't get easier. So I asked her, well, what happened then? And just getting them to talk about it, getting them to understand that this happens and that it's okay to tell somebody. Kids are so scared. I think adults are scared to let people know and into their personal things that have happened. I think we just need to know that we have great organizations here in Lubbock, and just start calling. Call us, and if we can't help you, we will put you in the right place, or at least point you in the right direction. Something we don't understand is that it doesn't matter how much money you make, how much education you have, how much love you have or don't have. No one is exempt from some form of need.
My name is Kyla Olson. I'm the Executive Director for the Parenting Cottage. We're a Lubbock Area United Way agency, and I also chair the South Plains Coalition for Child Abuse Prevention. Well, Child Abuse Awareness Month was actually started back in the 1980s by one grandmother. It was a grassroots effort, and she lost her grandchildren to child abuse and neglect. She was devastated, and she thought, how can I make the community pay more attention to this? I should have done more, they should have done more. So she tied a blue ribbon on the antenna of her van and drove it around town, waiting for people to ask her what the blue ribbon was for. And they did, and she said, it's the color of the bruises that were on my grandchildren's bodies, before they died. And so she started that effort, which gained momentum, and now it's the international sign for Child Abuse Awareness Month. We're a community with a high rate of child abuse and neglect, so if we don't start a grassroots effort in our community, then who's going to? Well, we in particular work with families that have children prenatal to kindergarten entry. That's a very critical period in a child's life. One of the things that we do is a car seat safety program. So if parents don't have a car seat to put their child in, they can come here, go to a 45-minute class, learn how to use that car seat, how to install it, and they leave here with a free car seat. So there is a tremendous amount of resources out there. Parents just have to be willing to access the resources. Well, when I see the cases in the media, I your heart breaks for that, but your heart should break even more for the ones that aren't in the media, because for every case that is reported, there's 10 or 15 that are not reported. So the statistics, when you see them, are on reported cases of child abuse and neglect that went through an investigation with the Department of Family and Protective Services. But that means that somebody had to have, the guts to go out there and call it in and go, hey, I think something's not right with this child, or I've observed this with this child, or, and so an investigation happens and they become a confirmed victim. If a child does an outcry to you, that believe them. Because number one, that's the hardest thing in the world for a child to do, because that's their parent. So regardless if they're being mistreated by that parent, they still have that family bond with that person. We can do so much better in our community. This is a wonderful community to raise families in and everything else, and I think we just have to be more aware. That's what Lubbock needs. Instead of not talking about it, which is what we've had a tendency to do, is whisper about it. Oh yeah, that's, you can't change it if that's all you're going to do is whisper about it, because you'll never bring it out in the open. And that's what has to happen to, if we had 3 kids a day getting injured by faulty football helmets, what would we be doing about it? Would you hear about it in the news? Of course you would. Then what's the difference with these children?